Hello, and welcome back to the Brighter Podcast. My name is Chelsea.
My name's BatSheva.
And my life is definitely brighter thanks to BatSheva.
And my life is so much brighter thanks to Chelsea.
We love to come on here and share stories, tools, techniques, things that have helped us along our journey and make our days brighter in hopes that they will help also make your day brighter. And we have a real special treat for you today. But before we get going, as we always like to do, let's arrive in our space digitally by softening the eyes if you're able to and taking 3 conscious breaths together. So letting all the air out. Taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And exhaling out the mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose, filling up the belly, then the ribs, then the chest. And on the exhale, letting the shoulders soften, come away from the ears. Releasing the jaw. Last breath, deepest one. Inhale in through the nose. And exhale, release out the mouth. Welcome back. So good to see you all again. And by that, I mean, see myself and BatSheva. But we know that you're there, and we are so grateful to have you. Another year in the making, here we are. And this year, we are going to be switching up some things, doing things a little differently, a new flavor to the mix. And one of those things is going to be having little mini series. We've gotten some feedback, and that is what is being called to us. So we're starting that off today with our deepening our relationships and opening up and talking about the frequency of truth and what that really means, and also being honest, why we lie and when we lie.
Awesome. So yeah, this is the part 1 of the Deepening Your Relationships 3-part series. Woohoo!
Yes, part one. Also, we are going to include you, initiate you into the Brighter Bee community and what that is. All of our listeners, all of our community, ourselves, we are the brighter bees. We are carrying that frequency, vibrating it out to the world of, maybe it's a boss or a brighter babe or a brighter bitch or brighter business person. So whatever resonates with you, whatever kind of bee you are feeling like, and maybe your bee changes day to day. But
yeah,
you
badass
are,
bitch babe.
yeah. But you are vibrating that, and everything that we are doing here that is, we're putting these ripples and these frequencies out into the world, hoping to make it a brighter place, a more habitable place for everyone to find tools and resources to really be able to come home to themselves and be honest and truthful about where they are, and then meet themselves there with love and courage and kindness and compassion.
Amazing. Perfect segue to our Frequency of Truth, part 1.
Yeah. So diving into that, what is truth? What does truth mean to you, BatSheva?
Truth very simply means what is real as is most deepest aligned with my inner knowing. And what's interesting about that definition is I can look back and have compassion on myself when I wasn't completely honest with others and myself, because some of those situations were manipulative or were denial. And some of them were cases of me not having access to the deeper well of wisdom that I have earned through this growth process, and I will continue to deepen and earn my whole life. And I have more access to what is real, what is true for me. And therefore, I can reflect that outward. I can speak that. And if I don't, I know that I'm covering it up. And maybe there's a reason. There's always a reason. I'm not, saying it's good or bad, but I might have a reason to say one thing to one person and know internally that there's a different story that I am aware of. But when I thought about this, I did realize that, let's say in my 20s, I really did not have access to so much of the inner wisdom that I do have access to now. And I didn't know I didn't have access to it. I'm sure right now I don't know what I still don't have access to. And therefore, because I was operating from that place, I created relationships on that certain level, that vibration of maybe a little more drama, a little more chaos, because it wasn't rooted in what's sometimes difficult, real truth. Does that make sense?
Total sense. Yes. It kind of has me thinking, that was your truth at that time. You know, like maybe looking at it now, you're like, oh, I wasn't really being truthful, but maybe you were. Like maybe then, like you're saying, the deeper thoughts weren't there. And so it's just like you were sharing what you knew. And my husband and I had a really interesting conversation yesterday about truth and about perspective and about, that everyone can have, everyone can be, there can be 5 people in the room and something gets said and everyone hears it differently. And that doesn't make anyone's truth, what they heard, right or wrong. It's just a different perspective and like what is influencing their perspective, their life experience, everything that they've lived through, how they were raised, the culture that they were brought up in, the religion that they were taught. All of these things compounded equals thus the lived experience, thus the truth of the moment right then.
Wow. And so I'm so curious, without asking you to not be private about your relationship, is there anything more you can share about kind of that process of speaking truthfully with your husband, for our benefit, for us to understand?
Yeah, I think that so really our first truth conversation, I would say the first really recognizable, memorable moments. I mean, obviously in any relationship, you hope and want to be, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But in this relationship at this moment, which was right after we had gotten married, we were in our van on our honeymoon, traveling around the Canada and Alaska and the US. And it was said, I'm not really interested in getting a divorce. Let's just always be honest and open and communicate what we need and just be truthful with each other. And if you're not getting what you need or if you need something else, let's just say it and go from there. And so that really opened up a whole new kind of truth realm. And where my mind went after that was wow, that is something to really be honest with someone, even if it could hurt. And that's kind of what our subsequent conversations have been about, our stories and beliefs and the underlying drama that is kind of been going on in my mind. And then bringing that to light, just straight up asking, how are you feeling about this thing? Because in my mind, these are kind of the things that are playing out. And I want to know if there's truth behind that or if that's something that I'm working through on my own. Am I seeing things and adding them up to create this drama, this picture that I have in my head of what it is? But I don't necessarily know that that's what it is because I haven't really asked. And then sharing, can I ask you this? And can I trust you to be honest with me? Really honest with me, even if it's going to hurt my feelings, even if it's uncomfortable. He's definitely not confrontational. So bringing up things that could potentially be confrontational aren't always comfortable, but just coming to that agreement of, yes, let's be honest. That's what, to us, we've kind of decided that that's what marriage is. Marriage is growing together and marriage is being so honest about what you want, about your desires, about how you're feeling, about what's needed and necessary, and just all of it. And just really being real. Because if you can't be real and you can't say those things, then there's likely going to end up being some resentment and living a life that maybe you're not happy with. And who wants that?
My God, that's just so powerful. It's really like bringing to mind the experience I had with this one relationship where from the beginning, I saw a certain pattern of his drinking behavior and I immediately knew what it was. Like, it was no question. I was like, oh, this person is an alcoholic. I know that. And I didn't want to have that be a deal breaker because I liked this person a lot for so many reasons. But I don't have a good poker face. So I think it only took like a couple of weeks for it to kind of finally come out, that conversation. And it was a pretty awkward conversation. And luckily, I was more mature at this point in my life than I had been, let's say, in my 20s. And I was able to hold my own because part of the reason I think I used to lie a lot, it wasn't almost a lie. It was just like I would only attend to that person and their truth and their reality, or his truth and his reality. And maybe that's kind of a codependent thing too, but I just didn't even hear my own inner voice. I did not even know what it was. It was just all important what the other person. And I think as a child, my parents had that served that role. Like I just, even like the best friends, especially growing up when I was little, like the popular girl, just whoever had like, I would kind of had all the power. I would give all the power without meaning to, without knowing what I was doing. And then I would just allow them to be the setter of truth. And so what happened, interestingly, in this awkward conversation was that this person who I just started to date, he said, he kind of got very defensive and he was like, well, I noticed that you're kind of looking a certain way and talking a certain way. Like every time like I reach for a drink, I was like, whoops, like there goes my fucking terrible poker face. And so, but I held my own and I was like, well, I'm noticing this and that. And he was like, no, I'm recovered. Like I used to be in the program, but I'm recovered. And, I believe that mind over matter and I support myself in a certain way to be healthy. And so if I want to, I can. And he had this whole rationalization. And honestly, my heart was very open. And I was like, okay, like if that's what the truth is for this person, I'm going to sit with that. Like, I wasn't like a judge from on high, like, nah, like, I know what I know. But I'll tell you, like, I did write it in my God box. Like, that's like one of the tools that I learned about from Tosha Silver, like this, or in the W method, I think I called it the wishing well, like just write down something that was giving me anxiety and then just give it to God, give it to Goddess, like put it in the box. It's hers now. It's not mine anymore. And I hadn't even realized later at the end of the relationship, I looked back and I had written it 3 different fucking times. So it had continued to actually be like an undercurrent of like, again, what I'm saying is that this was like an instance of 2 different people in a relationship's truths. And they did not match. And it's not hard to be like, oh, an addict, like the whole thing of addiction is kind of often denial or like not being honest with themselves or others. That's why I've now come to understand the 12-step programs work beautifully for people who work them, who use them, because it's like a truth-telling conduit. It's a portal to tell the fucking truth out loud, finally, like a bigger version of the daily W's that Chelsea and I do every day. There's no hiding for people who really use it correctly. And why do I know that? Not just because I've read about it, and I actually just finished this wonderful book, All the Way to the River by Elizabeth Gilbert, the Eat, Pray, Love woman, about her sex and love addiction that she's using the 12-step for. So that book was like really enlightening for me. But also I've been going myself because what I realized is it wasn't like I was lying to myself because I didn't know, to like your point, like I didn't know that I was codependent. I didn't know that I had an addiction to romance and fantasy and that I would use that romance and fantasy, and maybe I still would if I'm not currently in a relationship, but I don't know if I'm recovered yet. Or if, like, I think in the 12 step, they kind of like never want you to be like, you're recovered. Because then, I think it's too easy to just be in denial about it. But on the other hand, and this is why I was very open to what he was saying, I actually do believe that we can all evolve and change and grow. And we don't need to label ourselves to the detriment of our own growth. We don't need to put ourselves in a box. And then on the flip side, I think in this case, it is maybe healthy to be able to put a name to something in order to see it, in order to shine a light on it and be like, wow, like how can I begin to dismantle this affinity or addiction that I had my entire life for romance and fantasy without being able to actually name it and get support and figure out a program or a structure to help myself release it and dismantle it. So all that was like kind of coming to mind when you were talking about you and Hunter's commitment to each other and to the truth. Like, it's pretty powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. And through that conversation, we actually ended up getting deeper than like to deeper feelings, not just oh, this was the situation. This is how I felt. This is what we're going to do, like moving forward. But it was really like uncovering deep things, things that, I mean, I feel like that they were well before like our relationship. Like I know that they were well before our relationship. Deep like feelings that I had stored, so-called truths that were in my body that it really took kind of speaking in a way and just digging to even get to it. And so I think that that's kind of goes back to what you were saying in the beginning about the depth wasn't there yet. The work hadn't been done. And so you're still scraping the surface. And yeah, that's kind of what I am discovering is that there are these reactions, there are these truths, there are these so-called stories, but it really takes a little bit more investigation to get down to like what is actually further. And then the further that you go, the deeper that you figure out that it continues to go.
And I totally think and know that that is when and why therapy will work under certain circumstances of truth telling, because my own experience in therapy, I was so real and raw and I just fucking barfed it out all onto the table, metaphorically. I let it all hang out. I didn't keep back anything. I remember there was one point in my process that I was like, I'm attracted to you. Am I a lesbian? Like, I just, because, you let everything go up. And I said it, I didn't keep it in. And she provided such a safe space. It all depends, first of all, on your own willingness to be honest and lay bare everything that comes up for you, also emotionally and viscerally, not just like in your mind, what are you thinking? And then for the therapist, him or herself, to be able to hold that fucking space and allow for that and like allow that safety. And then the sounding board in order for, things to be able to come out. And then because there's no chaos created from these like deep rooted fears or thoughts, then they can just like they can settle and then you can see where life brings you. And in my particular case, I was like, oh, no, I'm not a lesbian, but I'm just like so in love with my therapist. I was like beginning to feel like different feelings, but like maybe another person would actually uncover that they are a lesbian. Like that's the beauty of these like safe spaces. Like we can actually evolve and become the person that we're meant to become and evolve, like in the safe space of therapy or in the community that provides that deep, safe space, or in your oh my God, so lucky. And you also merited it, but also like karmically, like your relationship with this person who you both will hold the space for each other for that. That is unbelievable. And it is believable, but it's amazing, amazing, amazing. And I also like, oh, sorry, but I just like one more thing, like remember my own marriage, which there was a time like in the first half of the marriage where there was a lot of sharing and a lot of depth. And we were both in these different kind of like groups, like spiritual groups, but people really shared deeply. And my husband like shared stuff that he had never shared with anyone. It was super, super, super deep. But sadly, like we didn't continue to grow in that direction together. And ultimately, like that wasn't at all what our relationship was able to sustain. And so it's so easy and clear for me to see like why it ended and also how healthy and how like grateful I am that it ended so that I can move on to what I'm seeking, which is that depth and that authenticity and that ability to hold that safe space for someone and for them to be able to hold it for me. Otherwise, like, I don't need to choose that person. So sorry, what were you going to say?
I think I was going to say, let's not get it twisted that it was like that it was just some magical conversation that was just so filled with this like truth and depth. And like we just came out of it, just a high. I mean, we did come out of it higher for sure, but the beginning of it was a little painful. And I think that just kind of goes to talking about the pendulum and it's swinging and like pain and pleasure are on that pendulum together. And the more that you can feel one, the more that you can feel the other. And so really opening up the capacity for that feeling and that truth telling did that. And also I wanted to just acknowledge that it was your ex-husband's truth telling that did like set you free. in a sense. And so it's like, wow, really.
Because his truth was so far from what I wanted, in other words. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just like him saying like what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like just being
That's
honest with
true.
you, like, oh, I want to do this. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, no.
Yeah, you're right. No, that's
So,
a good point. That's a really good point. And I actually,
and it could have been different. Like it could have been filled with lies and deceit and, so much. And then who knows where you would be. But like, luckily, the truth set you free.
the truth will out, says Shakespeare. And I remember Meda, the woman who I meet with occasionally, like she's kind of a spiritual coach for me. And I'd say she plays the role of a therapist as well. I started meeting with her way back when I was still in the marriage. And that was like the first thing she said to me that I was like, ding, like that's correct. Where she was like, oh, he's going and doing all these things that for me, they were making me hysterical. I was so angry at him and upset. She's like, he's doing what he wants to do to help support himself. Take that as an invitation for you to figure out what you want to do for yourself and do those things. And I was like, it was literally such a fucking light bulb moment. And it led to me again, like following this different path for myself of like what lights me up, et cetera, et cetera. And then like cut to this relationship that just ended for me not too long ago, the 5-month relationship. Again, in the middle there, I can't remember now what it was about, but I do remember that I had to have like a very awkward conversation with him that was hard for me to have. And because we had it within those 5 months, at least like the relationship really up leveled a lot thanks to some of those conversations. And I remember again, Meta sort of like supporting me and cheering me on, and I'm just recognizing that that's what you and Hunter literally did. Like, you're right. Like, it's not fucking easy or comfortable or like you don't want it. It's totally like no pain, no gain. But like the reality of it, you're like, come on, like, I don't really want pain.
It is the butterfly coming out of the chrysalis,
Yes.
struggling. It is the birth, like the baby coming out, struggle. And then the oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine and everything like flooding you with just like love and beauty and joy and, well, in some cases, I guess, or the butterfly flying off, and actually having wings that work. But I mean, and I'm definitely building my capacity for it because I can now recognize like, I'm really uncomfortable right now. I'm really having a time right now. And I'm grateful for what's going to be on the other side of this because I know that that's what's coming and I can sit with this right now. But just being honest about like right now sucks. This sucks. I'm feeling the suck and sharing, which I think is what we're going to get into in our next episode, part 2.
Stay tuned. Yes. Totally. Spoiler alert. It is all about the next step and stages of giving and getting the support you need to have these awkward conversations, to do the thing, to deepen the relationship.
Yeah. So hearing your truth, doing the work that it takes to like get to the truth, or sitting with yourself long enough to get to that truth, or maybe you're a talk person and you're going to talk therapy, or you're talking to your friend and you have a friend that lets you do the talking so that it's actually your truth and not their truth.
So we also wanted to ask you guys, you wonderful, beautiful, brighter bees, to share the episode with anyone you think it could uplift and brighten and help, because we are part of a movement of sharing brightness and uplift and support and love within and throughout our culture and our land and our world. There's a lot of other dark, negative information that we are bombarded with all the time. And we would like to ask our listeners to be an engine for the good and the brighter. And if this resonated with you, or if someone popped into your head who could benefit as well from hearing the episode, send it to them.
Pollinating with positivity. The brighter bees, pollinating with positivity.
Yes.
Well, as we like to close out all of our episodes, we'll be giving our daily W. So I will start out with my win for the day, which is that I got up early, even after going to bed late. I had agreed to get up and do a morning workout, and I did it. So that's my big win for the day so far. And my wow, I'm really grateful I had a call today with this new course that I'm taking, Vita Coaching. And it was a practice call. And I'm just really grateful for the container. I'm grateful for the people that are in it, for the teachers. And I'm also grateful for myself because since I got up early, my energy level was a little different than kind of what I had planned on it being going into the practice call. And because of my preparation and acceptance and love and willingness to abandon perfectionism for this container, at least, I was able to meet myself and to really just be with the truth of what was happening then, and just love it and honor it and accept it and have compassion for that. And so I'm really grateful for where I am right now.
Beautiful. I was thinking, like, what am I going to wish for? I'm going to offer one wish out into the universe. And I think it has to do with my ability to be okay with where I'm at. So, because it's kind of like your wow was like you were able to be okay with yourself, which is incredible. And I do feel currently at the moment there's a bit of a disconnect between where I'm at and where I fucking want to be.
Isn't that the whole thing of being human, though? Like that we're always striving for the next,
yes.
the next
Thank
level.
you. Thank you, my beloved Daily W partner, for bringing me the compassion. Yes. And the grace. Yes. Yes. Exactly. So I'm wishing to find my way back to balance, back to the rooted, that was my word of the year, to that rooted place of pleasure. By the way, I substituted my word joyful that I came up with, my second word, for pleasure off camera. So those words actually are meaningful to me. And that is my wish, is to just easily and with divine support and flow find my way back to rooted pleasure from the place where I'm currently existing, which is a place of some emotionality and some feelings of, I guess, lack. So that's my wish. Sure, I'll get there.
So it is, and so it shall be.
Thank
Well,
you.
until next time, please share this episode. Please like it. Please DM us with your ideas, what you want to hear about, what resonates with you, any questions that you have. We'd love to hear from you. And we're actually also going to start reading some of our comments and reading some of the people that have been writing in. So we look forward to hearing you and sharing if that sounds good for you.
Yeah, you can share your own story if it resonated with you. We would love to hear it. Thank you.
So until next time, we'll see you soon. Lots of love.
May your day be brighter.